the best of the week on Relevant Radio.
Let's go to Tracy now in Murrells Inlet, South Carolina. That sounds very tropical.
Hi, Patrick. I wonder if you could tell me what the Catholic Church teaches on the rapture, and also if there is any kind of a video by someone that you would recommend on the subject in a Catholic way, so that I could share this with my teenager.
Oh, there are some good resources. So one book I would recommend is by Carl Olson, the author. The book is called Will Catholics Be Left Behind? And it's one of a number of Catholic books that came out within the last 20 years or so. And it was in the midst of the success of the Left Behind books and the Left Behind movies that were basically the books made into a movie. And all the hysteria and misunderstanding about what Protestants, not all, but many Protestants think of as the pre-tribulation rapture. So it's a very thorough, comprehensive book that goes through all of the Bible verses that are commonly used to support this notion of a pre-tribulation rapture, and he debunks them. So that's the essence of the book. It's quite good. Now, you can say this much, and I think in short form, this is good for people to be aware of. There is not going to be a pre-tribulation rapture in which, during the time of the rise of the Antichrist, before things really get going with the persecutions, the tribulation, that notion, the mistaken notion, holds that God's people will be raptured out of this world, taken to heaven, they'll be safely out of the way, and everybody who is not one of God's true followers, one of Jesus' true followers, will be left behind. And everybody who is left behind will experience the full force of the Antichrist persecution, et cetera, et cetera. The Bible definitely does not teach that. And every single last one of the different Bible verses that the pre-trib rapture people promote, it can be easily shown to not be referring to a pre-tribulation rapture. Rather, what we see by way of a rapture is in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. So I would encourage you to read that chapter. But the key section is found in beginning of verse 13. But we would not have you ignorant, brethren, concerning those who are asleep, referring to those who have died, that you may not grieve as others do who have no hope. For since we believe that Jesus died and rose again, even so, through Jesus, God will bring with him those who have fallen asleep. For this we declare to you by the word of the Lord, that we who are alive, who are left until the coming of the Lord. So he's here referring to people who are alive on the last day, on the day of the return of Jesus. So we who are alive, who are left until the coming of the Lord, shall not precede those who have fallen asleep. For the Lord, this is verse 16, for the Lord will himself descend from heaven with a cry of command, with the archangel's call, and with the sound of the trumpet of God, and the dead in Christ will rise first. Then we who are alive, who are left, here's the key part, shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so we shall always be with the Lord. Therefore, comfort one another with these words. That's the end of the chapter. The key is the phrase, shall be caught up together. Now, when St. Jerome translated the original Greek of this epistle from St. Paul into Latin, the verb that he used to translate this is rapiemur. Now, that word means to be caught up or snatched away. And that's where, from that Latin word that St. Jerome used to translate for the Catholic Bible, the Catholic Vulgate, that's where the word rapture in English derives. So this idea of God's people being caught up into the air, to be raptured up, translated, you might say, from time into eternity, that's the passage where this idea comes from, and that's what St. Paul describes. So there will be a rapture, but it will be on the last day. It will be when Christ returns to judge the nations, and there will be a new heavens and a new earth, and all the things that are described in the book of Revelation. That's when this happens. It's on the very last day. Anything else that purports to be the rapture, and the different verses people use, one will be taken, one will be left, etc., all of them, to the extent that they actually do have some connection to the rapture, they all refer to this one that will take place at the very end. And even the word rapture comes from this verse. So I can summarize simply the net gain that you'll find in that book by Carl Olson. There are many verses that he looks at. This is one of them. But even just this is enough to know that that's the kind of rapture that the Bible talks about. Does that make sense?
Yep. Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's an interesting topic. Check out that book. And there are indeed videos. In fact, I think he's even done some videos available on YouTube on the topic. You can look up his videos by name. You can join me by listening to The Patrick Madrid Show on the Relevant Radio app, live each weekday at 8 to 11 a.m. And thanks for listening.